Well, hello. I've got a Sudoku here that I'm going to try, and I thought I'd record my solve in case I'm actually successful. This was actually posted for testing by people, so we'll see how it goes. But it's posted by Clover, and I don't think I've done a puzzle by Clover on the channel before, but she always has great puzzles. And she just posted it and said, "Killer hard." And so, of course, I had to take a look at it. And I sent her a message asking her if there was a title for it in case I do a video on it. And she said she didn't know, but she said, just call it a very nice killer Sudoku or something flattering. So here you go. Very nice killer is what we're going to call it. And so partly what caught my attention is that she posted this as killer hard, which, it's really hard to judge your own puzzle's difficulty level. So it could be impossibly hard. It could actually not be too bad. It's really hard to say. I have a hard time judging my own puzzles that I make anyway. So, but what caught my attention on this one, part of the reason I wanted to try it, is these 12 cages here. There's another one over here, but specifically these because I have actually made a killer Sudoku that used square-shaped 4-cell 12 cages above and below each other like this before, except it was a little different because mine were all in the same box and there was 4 of them. I think actually that puzzle of mine was solved by Cracking the Cryptic, I believe by Simon Anthony of Cracking the Cryptic. If I can find it, I'll leave a link up there to that video, and I'll leave that puzzle in the description too. But today we're looking at this one, and link in the description as usual. The rules are just normal killer Sudoku rules. The digits within a cage have to add up to the number in the corner, and you can't repeat a digit in a cage. So whereas you might be able to put, like 2s in both of those, normally for Sudoku you can't do that because they're in the same cage. And that's it. That's all the rules. So there are a couple of cages without numbers. So that I guess that just prevents a repeated digit is all that's going to do. So we don't know the total of those. Give it a try. Link in the description, and I'm going to give it a shot now. So we'll see how it goes. All right. So with having done a similar, not really similar puzzle, but the 12 cages before, I know that 12 in 4 has to be 1, 2, 3, 6, or 1, 2, 4, 5. So you have to have a 1 and a 2 in the 12 cage. So that's going to take our 1s and 2s for these columns. So none of those can have a 1 or a 2. But I don't know how much that's going to help. Now, I suppose you could do the 1 and the 2, something like this, and then on the other side, or, the opposite, of course. Or you could have a 1 with a 2, and then a 2 with a 1, somehow. So they're not necessarily the 1 and the 2 vertically, or even horizontally, it could be diagonally. And this one over here also is going to have a 1 and a 2, but and then we've got 3 of these 28 cages as well. Now 28 probably, let's see, do you have to have an 8 and a 9 and a 28? 8, 9 would give you 11, 7, 6. Yeah, I think so, because you definitely have to have a 9. Without an 8, 9, 7, 6, 5 would be the biggest you could do. 16, 11, that'd be 27. Yeah, so you have to have a 9 and an 8. So we've got kind of the same thing going on here. We have to have 1 and 2 in both these 12 cages, and we have to have 9 and 8 in both of these 28 cages. Now the 28s actually interact more than the 12s because these are all in the same box here. But, so we can't put 9 and 8 right there, because that would rule out 9 and 8 from all of those, and you have to have a 9 and an 8 in here. But you could put one of them in there, and then the other one would, if you put an 8 in there, the 8 would have to be over here. So, or you could have the 9 and the 8 up here, and then Well, then you wouldn't be able to put, yeah, 9, 8. Oh, but you could still, yeah, you could do 9, 8, and 9, 8. That wouldn't, or here and here, yeah. So you just can't put both of them right there, but that's not that much of a restriction, really. Okay, what about the 33? So what's 33 and 5? That's a pretty big number. Um, Again, I bet you have to have a 9. Without a 9, you'd have 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. That would be 30. Yeah, 30. So 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. So you have to have a 9. Now, if you didn't have an 8, you would only be adding 1 to that. You know, 8 change the 8 to a 9, essentially. So that's only going to be 31. The 7, if you didn't have a 7, yeah. So you have to have a 7, 8, and 9 in the 33 cages. But they don't really impact the 28s. Okay. Oh, maybe we can do some normal killer Sudoku stuff. These are 25. So you've got 21 and 4. That's no good. Same over here. 19, 20. So let's see. So the whole box is 45. We know that. 1 through 9 is 45. This is 33. So so this has to be 12. I see. Okay. That's where we need to look. These 4 cells equal 12. But also these 4 equal 12. So we kind of have, essentially, we have 2 12 cages overlapping. So, and the same thing down here. So you have to have a 1 and a 2 in those as well, which means there's a 1 and a 2 over here. I don't know that that tells us much, but we know that's true. So I suppose you could do, if this was 1 and 2 here, then these would have to be, 3, 6, and 4, 5. And then, that's interesting. Right. Okay, so if this is 1 and 2, we don't know that those are 1 and 2, but if they were, then these would have to be 3, 6 or 4, 5, and they couldn't be the same. Because if this was 3, 6 and this was 3, 6, for example, if they're the same, then those 2 digits have to be now up here in this 19 cage. And if you put 3, 6 or 4, 5 in the 19 cage, you've got 9 and you'd need a 10. So you can't do that. So if the 1 and 2 are both in the middle, these have to be different, essentially. Now, but do we know that the 1 and the 2 have to be? Okay, right. And if the 1 and the 2 are not in the middle here, whichever one is over here would also have to be over here and then would have to be in the 19 cage. And you can't put a 1 in a 19 cage because that would leave 18. You'd need 2 9s. So the 1 has to be in the middle here for sure, which means the 1s down here have to be on both sides. There has to be a 1 in the 12 cage. Okay. So that's something. That's something. There's still a few options here though, because that would leave, 9, 2, 8, 3, 4, 7, 5, 6. You'd have a lot of options there. But the 2, can we put the, so if we put the 2 on the outside here, again, the 2's up here, which would be 2, 8, 9. It would have to be 2, 8, 9. And then, right, and we have to have a 7, we have to have an 8 and 9 in the 33s. So if this is 8 and 9, we put 8, 9 there, 8, 9 there. Now this would have to be 5, 6, or 4, 7. 9. This would have, yeah, okay, perfect. So we put 8 9s in those. And if there's an 8, 9 right here, this now has to be 5, 7, because it's 9, 3, 8, 4, or 5, 7. But if this is 5, 7, 8, 9, what are we putting over here? We can't do 9, 2, we can't do 8, 3. We can't do 4, 7. We can't do 5, 6. So the 2 cannot be up here because it forces the 8 9s all the way around the grid and messes this up. Huh. I think that's right. Okay. Which means, all that means, since they can't have a 2 up here, we can't put the 2 in both of those. This is a 1, 2 pair. Which makes these all 1, 2 pairs as well. Because the 1, 2 can't be in here, and you have to have a 1, 2 in the 12 cage. But this is effectively another 12 cage that has to have a 1 and a 2 in it. So it goes like that. So now, again, that puts a 1 and a 2 down here, which makes it 1, 2, 9. So this can't be 9, 3, 8, 4, 5. Yeah. Oh, but we can't put a 9 in. Right. So the 9 has to be up here in the 33, which puts the 9, kind of the same thing, but the other way around. Puts the 9 up there. So this can't have a 9 in it. Does that... That doesn't really do too much, does it? 1, 2. Okay, so this needs to be 3, 6, or 4, 5. And this is 7, 8, 9 with a 3, 6, or a 4, 5. Right. And these, like we said, have to be different. One of them's 3, 6, and one of them's 4, 5, or the other way around, potentially. But, and so this again is 7, 8, 9 with a 3, 6, or a 4, 5. And whichever is in there, 3, 6, or 4, 5, has to be the same as this. So the 19 can't have a 9 in it. Remember the 28s. We said it had to have an 8 and a 9. We have a 9 in this 12 cage now, so there can't be a 9 in any of those. There must be a 9 in these. And that puts the 9 in there, and the 28 up there. What else can we do? If this is 3, 6, you would have 7, 8, 9, 4, 5. This has to be 4, 8, or 5, 7, right? Because we can't have a 9. If it's 4, 8, then this would have to be 4, 5 with 8, 9 up here. 4, 5 with 8, 9. Because if it was 3, 6... Actually, so there's a 4 or a 5 in this cage. It's 4, 8, or 5, 7. So if there's a 4, 5 in this cage, the 4 or the 5 would have to be up here with the 9. But, right, there's also a 7 or an 8 in this cage. Okay, yes, 4, 8, or 5, 7 means there's a 7 or an 8. So the 7 or the 8, whichever one's in here, has to be up here with the 9. And so now where would you put the 4 or the 5 that's in here? It's got to be in this thing, so this has to be 4, 5. That's really cool. So the two options here, 4, 8, and 5, 7, both include a 7 or an 8 that has to be in the 33, and a 4 or a 5 that has to be somewhere in here as well. It's weird how when you have like a 2-cell cage and a 4-cell cage with the same numbers, the way they match up are different. We're putting 4 with 5 instead of 4 with 8 and 5 with 7. Anyways, the point is this is 4, 5. This is 3, 6, and then 7 or 8. Whichever one is not in there. So this is 7, 9, or 8, 9, which then makes this one the same 7, 9, or 8, 9. So, yeah, and so if this one is 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, then you're going to have, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 in these three, and also 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 in those, but you can't put 5 digits into 6 cells. So this one has to be 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, which makes this a 3, 6, which gives us a 3, 6 pair, removes the 3, 6 down here, and now these two have to be the 3, 6, because we've got essentially a 7, 8, 9 triple here. So the 3, 6, 4, 5, so this has to be the other one of the 4 or 5. Whichever one is not in here. And this is the other of the 7 and 8 that's not in there. And now we've got 4, 5, 7, 8, and 9, like quintuple, I guess. So this has to be 1, 2, 3, and 6 in here. One, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we said this has to be dead. So this is 3, 6, which means this one has to be 4, 5. Because if it's also 3, 6, you'd have to have a 3 and a 6 up here, which we can't do. So this one is 4, 5. Makes that a 7, 8. 4, 5. So this is 7, 5, or 8, 4. 2, 3. So these have to be 3, 6, 7, 8, or 9. And this is... We said it had to have a 9 and an 8, which would be 17. So then it's got to have 7, 4, or 5, 6. So we can't put a 3 in there. Or 5. So it's got to have a 4 or a 5, which then has to be over here. Whichever one it is. There's got to be a 3 in here. Okay, so coming back to the 19 cage, we know it can't have an 8, or it can't have a 9, and either 7 or 8 is going to be missing, because this is, we can't have 7 and 8, essentially. So we can have an 8 or a 7. If we have 8, then it needs to be 8, 4, 7, or 8, 5, 6. It can't be 8, 4, 7, so it'd have to be 8, 5, 6. So I'm just gonna, let's see, 8, 5, 6 is one option. Otherwise, if it's a 7, then you need 12. But yeah, you can't do that, because without an 8 or a 9, you can't have a 7 in a 19 and not have an 8 or a 9. That's not possible. So it's got to be 5, 6, 8. 5, 6, 8. And now we know the 8 is not in the 28 cage there, so the 8 has to be here, which means this is not an 8. There's an 8 over here. And now we know that there's no 8 up here. This is a 7, 9 pair. We can get rid of the 7s there. This one's not an 8 or a 5, actually, because of the 5, 6, 8 over here. So these are not 8. That's 7, 9. This is now an 8 and a 7, which goes with 5 and 4. And now we are moving. All right, this is 6, 9, and this has to be 9, 8 with... what was it, 17? We had to have 11, right? So 6, 5. So this has to be 5, 8 then. So it's going to be 9, 8, 6, 5, or 4, 7. So this is 9, 8, and this can't be, right. These two can't have a 5, and they can't have a 6, so it can't be 6, 5. It's got to be 4, 7. So it's got to be 9, 8, 4, 7, and the 4 can't be over here because the 4 down here. So it's got to be 7, 8, and this has to be 4, 9. This is not 9. The 5, 8 here is going to give us the 6 up there. Let's see. This is... Okay, so the 8 is here, which means it's not there, which gives us an 8, 9 pair. And this 28. Now this has to be either 4, 7 or 5, 6 as well. Can't have the 5, so it's got to be 4, 7. That leaves 3 and 6 right there. Gives us the 9 and the 6. That 4, 7 is going to give us these over here. 3, 6 help us? I don't know that it does. These are 3 and 8. So the 3, 6 will disambiguate those, and then we can use the 8 to get the 5, 8. All right. Then where do we go next? 3, 6, 5, 8, 5, 4, 3, 6. Okay. So what about across the top here? What do we have left? 1, 2, and 3. And this one can't be 1 or 2 because of the 1, 2 here. So these are 6, 8, and 9. Right, and now we're going to be able to use this because right in here we need 3, 6, 7, 8, and 9? But it can't be 6, 8, or 9 in here. So these have to be 3 and 7. It's going to give us 9 and 7, and 6 and 3, and these do not have a 3. So this is 8. That one's not 8. 4, 5, and 9, I think, is what's left in the column there. The 8, 9 pair gives us the 6 there. 9, 8. This is not a 9. This is not a 6. Okay, let's see. Can we do the same thing over here? Probably. So this is 1, 2, 3, 5. And in here we've got what? 1, 2, 3, 7. And so this definitely has a 3 and a 5 in it. So this can't be 3. 3, 5, 3 and a 5. Yep, 1, 2, 7. So, right, and so now we have a 1, 2, 7 triple in this column, so this is a 3. Which gives us 7 and 3. So now there's not a 3 there. And now we have a 1, 2, 5 triple, so we get a 3 there. There's definitely a 5 in here. 2, 5. 1, 2. All right, so what can we do up here? We need 1, 2, 3, and 7. And we can't put a 7 in the 12 cage because it has to be 1 and 2 with a 3, 6, or a 4, 5. And you can't put a 4 or a 5 in here. So you can't do... Oh, you could do 1, 2, 4, 5 still if you had the 4 and the 5 down here. But we can't put a 4 and a 5 down here because there's a 4, 5 right there. So this has to be 1, 2, 3, 6. 1, 2, 3, 6. And the 6 has to be down here. So this is not a 6. That gives us a 6 there. And these can't be 1 and 2 because that would break that. So there has to be a 3 up there. So this is not 3. Now we have a 1, 2, 6 triple. Gives us a 7 there. And there's definitely a 3 in here. So that gives us the order of the 3 and the 6 there. This is not a 3. There's definitely a 7 in here. So that gives us the 8 and the 7. The 8's going to give us the 5 and the 8. And that 5 is going to give us the 4 and the 5. And the 4 is going to give us the 9 and the 4. Just a whole dominoes falling all over the place. All right. Now, what's left in here? 6 and 9. And we know the order of those because of the 9 and the 6. And now that we've got 9 and 3 here. Well, we already... Yeah, we should be able to figure this out. So 9 and 3 is 12. These are 1, 2, 4, 7. So it can't be 7. That one can't be 7. Oh, so the 7 has to be there. So there's definitely a 4, 3, 7, 9. Okay, 3 and 7 and 9 is 19 and 4 is 23. So it's got to be the 2 then. So it has to be 2, 4. 1, 2, 2, 2. The 1, 2, 6 triple that we had earlier gives us the 4 and the 2. That 4 is going to give us the 5 there. 4 and 9. And the 8, 9 pair. 5. All right, what's left in the row? 1, 4, and 5. So there's definitely a 4 over here. Oh, but the 1, 5 is in this cage, so this has to be a 4. And that 4 is going to give us 7 and 4. And this is not 7, so there has to be a 7 there. 1, 2, 3, 6 triple. That can't be a 1 or a 2. That's a 9. Which gives us the 8 and the 9 there. And that 8 will give us the 5 and the 8. Just need to get these 1s and 2s figured out here. And then, oh, well, the 2, these can't be 2. We got a 2 there. This is 1 and 6, so that gives us a 5, 1, 5. Oh, we've had the 2 right there. We could have had those 2 1s and 2s figured out anyways. 1, 6, so this can't have a 1 then. This has to be 2, 3, which is gonna then fix all of the, nope, not all the 1s and 2s. Oh, duh, right here, the 25 cage. This is 10, 19, 24. This has to be a 1. There we go. For a second, I was thinking, oh no, we've got a deadly pattern, but we don't. All right, the 2 up there gives us the 1 and the 2. That 2 is going to give us the 3 and the 2. The 1 gives us the 6 and the 1, and then that 6 gives us the last 3, 6 pair. And I believe that is going to be the solution to a very nice killer by Clover. That was very nice. I enjoyed that. It's interesting. It had the same kind of, square-shaped 12 cages, but because they weren't in a single box, the ones that in the puzzle I made were in kind of, each cage was in a box instead of across the line. It's completely different logic. Like, really, the only similarity is the fact that they have to have 1, 2, 3, and 6, or 1, 2, 4, and 5. Otherwise, the logic was totally different. Partly because they're in different boxes, and partly because in mine there was 4 of them, I think. I didn't use the 28 cages. That was interesting. But, yeah, that was pretty cool how, I don't know if that was the intended way to do it or not, but, the 2 forcing the 8 and the 9, which then, cascades around the grid and would break the 12 cage, because the 12 cage had to have the 1 because it had to be over here, because you couldn't do the 1 here because of the, yeah, that was, that's probably the reason she said it might be hard. But and it wasn't easy, but I didn't think it was too bad. It was like a, solid 3, probably. It could have been harder if I didn't notice the 8, 9 thing. That would have been, be interesting to know if there's another way to break into this. If you found another way, let me know. I'd be curious. And thank you, Clover, for the great puzzle. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and I'll see you again soon with another puzzle. Thanks. Bye.